Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on Tuesday, July 26, 2016. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, where we bring you today's top stories translated into English every weeknight. President of the Republic, Buyar Nishani, decreed the judicial reform into law today. The president decreed the constitutional amendments only a day after receiving the amendments in the president's institution. He did not choose to wait the 20 days the president can take to decree amendments, according to Article 84 of the Constitution. The president interrupted his holidays and decreed the law on the chosen amendments to the constitutions of Albania. The first effects of the judicial reform will affect the appointments to the Council of Appointments in the Justice Department. Point D of Article 149 of the Constitution specifies that the President of the Republic will elect 2 judges to the Constitutional Court, 1 judge to the High Court, a prosecutor to the Prosecutor General's office, 2 judges and 2 prosecutors to the Court of Appeal, and 1 judge to the Constitutional Court between the 1st and 5th of December. If the President fails to elect the members by December 5th, then the Assembly Speaker has the right to elect them by December 10th. The judicial reform will go into effect 15 days after the President's decree, which will be August 10th. Pressure and encouragement from the international community to Albania's political parties has not ended now that the constitutional draft amendments have been adopted. Approval of the legislative package with 7 laws is considered an emergent step in implementing the judicial reform. For this reason, the German ambassador in Tirana, Susanna Schutz, asked the politicians to finalize this process as soon as possible. I think the message is very clear. First, we appreciate the approval of the judicial reform. It is a very important step for Albania's path towards the European Union. It is also very important that this reform does not remain only on paper, but is implemented. I also hope that the 7 laws, which should have been implemented last Thursday, will be approved as quickly as possible. Without their implementation, the judicial reform is not valid. This is the most important message I can give today, said the German ambassador. Prime Minister Edi Rama also reacted to the emergency package, blaming the Democratic Party for the delay of its approval. Those who surrendered to tremendous pressure from the people and international community will continue to resist at every step of every law necessary to implement the constitutional reform. But they cannot stop the new history of justice, which started with consensus on July 21st. Albania is no longer what it was before last Thursday's historic vote, not only in the eyes of Washington, Berlin, and Brussels, but also in the eyes of the international investors. Our country has gained a new credibility, reads the Prime Minister's message on his social accounts. Earlier today, the Embassy of the United States of America clarified that the consequences for not adopting the judicial reform were instructions from Washington. Ambassador Liu and the U.S. Embassy urged the party leaders and members of Parliament to support the judicial reform and made it clear that there would be negative consequences in their relations with the United States if they voted against it. The embassy discussed the consequences with the political parties according to specific instructions from Washington. We wanted to be clear so that there would be no misunderstanding later. Our commitment has always been based on the request of the Albanian government and opposition, which have asked for U.S. support and involvement, reads the U.S. Embassy's reaction. The Assembly Speaker, Ilir Meta, is participating in the World Leaders Forum in the framework of the U.S. Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia. Many international leaders and senior representatives of politics from all around the world participate in the forum. The Assembly Speaker, Ilir Meta, met with former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, head of the Swedish Parliament, Urban Ahlin, and Georgia's Assembly Speaker. The Albanian Assembly Speaker also met with MEPs Knut Fleckenstein, Gianni Pittella, and Tanja Fajon. The head of the Assembly asked to strengthen the strategic partnership between Albania and the U.S. He also asked the World Leaders Forum to contribute their expertise to Albanian democracy. Mr. Meta will be in Philadelphia this week as he participates in the U.S. Democratic National Convention. The Democratic Party chairman Lulzum Basha, the chairman of the U.S.-Albanian Friendship Group, Pandeli Majko, and the Socialist MP Olta Gjachka are also participating in the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia. The Democratic Party chairman, Lulzum Basha, is currently in the USA at the invitation of the U.S. Democratic Party and the National Democratic Institution to attend the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia. Mr. Basha attended the opening ceremony of the convention, where Hillary Clinton is expected to be announced as the Democrat nominee for the President of the United States of America. During his stay in the U.S., the DP chairman held meetings with the high-ranking leaders of the U.S. Democratic Party, along with senators and congressmen who were present at the convention and attended forums which he has been invited. The opposition leader was present at the World Leaders Forum, where he met with Secretary General of the European People's Party. The media announcement says that the Secretary General of the EPP gave the role of the Democratic Party a positive evaluation in the drafting and adoption of the decriminalization law and the consensual adoption of the judicial reform. Mr. Basha also met with MEP Newt Fleckenstein and praised his role and that of MEP Edward Kukan in supporting consensus. The Albanian opposition leader also met with the former U.S. Secretary of State, Ms. Madeleine Albright. The agriculture sector in Albania remains the lowest sector for investments from banks. Motivated by this, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, ERBD, signed a memorandum with the Albanian government to increase investments in agribusiness. Prime Minister Edi Rama highlighted that the judicial reform will enhance investments. The Prime Minister said that adopting the reform has increased the foreign investors' feeling of security to invest in Albania. During the speech he held after the signing of the memorandum, the Prime Minister declared that he has received several messages from foreign investors who want to invest in Albania. The Prime Minister declared that there are no defaulted loans from the agriculture sector, and for this reason he asked the banks to support the agriculture sector. The EBRD President, Suma Chakrabarty, promised up to €100 million in support for the agricultural sector. The first phase includes a grant of €36 million. We are convinced that the money is going in the right direction. We are ready to invest over €100 million for this agreement, the EBRD president said. Meanwhile, the resident of the foreign investors and Albania declared that the funding the agribusiness would reduce the trade deficit. I think Albania is on the right path towards the European Union, and the adoption of the judicial reform was an important step. The main Albanian problem now is the trade deficit, and agribusiness can help reduce it. I think that competition in the region is fierce, and that Albania needs to be supported as it needs to increase exports, he said. The president of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development has started a tour in the Balkans countries, where he is presenting the supportive projects for the region. Albania will have another interconnection line to exchange energy with Macedonia. The interconnection line is expected to begin soon, as the necessary funds for the project have been already gathered. Germany is the main contributor to this project, with a loan of €50 million given to the Albanian state. The agreement for the first installment of €30 million was signed between the Minister of Energy and the German ambassador to our country. We have invested more than €1 billion as donations in the recent years in Albania. Through this support, we aim to contribute to economic growth and help young people create a life in their own country, putting a stop to immigration. The first segment of this project will be built, and the amount given initially is €30 million, and another €20 million will be given after summer holidays, declared the German ambassador. Meanwhile, the Minister of Energy and Industry stated that this project is important for the energy sector in the country. Construction of the new 400-kilowatt line from Elbasan to Fier is about 70 kilometers. Implementing the project in Albania's territory has cost €50 million. The project will be funded by a €14 million grant given by the European Union, by a €50 million loan taken from Germany, and by €5 million from the operator of the transmission system. That's all for our English edition this evening. Please join us again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. My name is Mari, and on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.